You see this flower? This flower represents society. It's bent. It's kind of on its last breath. It's beautiful, and it's grown to a fantastic height, you know? Different elements of it that are just absolutely splendid. And purple is my favorite color. So I appreciate this flower a lot. Just like I appreciate society, modern society, a lot. Are there many things that modern society has given the average human that, you know, would be unheard of in times past? But I think society is in decline. Much like this flower, it's going to die, right? It's been uprooted. It's on its last breath. And I want to know what you think about this. And as I speak and as you listen, I want you to pay attention to the things that I say and the ideas that I bring forth. And you might not agree with them. You don't have to agree with them. Heck, you could completely disagree. But the purpose of this video is to spark and start conversation in general. And I'm going to tell you what I think, what I've noticed. so as to start a sort of conversation. Now, I'm a young person, and I grew up watching films about immense progress, you know, the world progressing, you know, industries growing, IQ on the rise, people becoming smarter by the day, right? And all that seemed fantastic and amazing to me. And I would wonder to myself, how much better could the world get? How, you know, we've been to the moon, allegedly. We've done all these crazy things. You know, we've built airplanes, which 150 years ago would be completely unheard of, right? You wouldn't even think about that 150 years ago. And now we have all these things. We're on trains. Like, life is going insanely fast, and we're developing swiftly, right? And I'd read books about the advancements that we're making, and I'd be intrigued, just utterly intrigued. I'd have all these aspirations and goals, and, you know, I want to be an astronaut, I want to do this, I want to explore space, and all that would be exciting. But then as I grew older, I started paying attention to society, right? The people we hang around, and how music was just filled with terrible content. You know, I love music. I love modern music, modern rap, any type of music you can think of. I love music. I breathe music through and through. I love music. So this is not to bash any sector or any one person or any one generation. This video is to tell you what I've seen and to start conversation. I want to know what you think, right? Because I think that's the only way we can make change, advance, right? And I think society's in decline for a number of reasons. For one, when we talk about the social aspect of society, right? People, young people especially, are having a hard time communicating with each other. A difficult time communicating with each other. And it's kind of ironic because the age of social media came about to foster more socialization, right? And in so doing, it has decreased the amount of socialization that is occurring. Big time, right? People are hardly having conversations in real life, you know, and whenever they do, it's divisive, it's terrible, it's demeaning, right? It's soul depleting, it's energy taking, and it's all around terrible. And if you see the social discourse between the sexes, the males and the females, it's at an all-time low, And as we scratch and screech for freedom and love and care, we lose it day by day, right? Men are using women, women are using men, and all around the common experience of the average individual is becoming worse and worse. At least that's what I've seen, that's what I've heard. When I talk to my buddies, that's what that's what we've communicated to each other. You know, I talked to this guy that I know quite well. I really admire this guy from afar. He wears dark clothing, really good style. Love this dude. Love this guy. And every time I talk to him, he seems to have like the wisest insight. And I remember we had a conversation about friendship and how in college, you know, you came, you expected that, wow, this is going to be an abundance of socialization. We're going to meet new people and we're going to thrive socially. And we finally got out of our parents, you know, out from under our parents' roofs, and we get to become our own person. And then when you get to college, you realize that a lot of people are stuck in their minds. A lot of people are stuck with the expectations that are placed on them by society, by their peers, by their fellow man, by their fellow girls. And it's a trap, you know? And that places a restriction on how people, young people especially, get to socialize. And it puts a real strain on it. And, you know, the rise of toxic relationships, that's one thing you can't deny. Relationships nowadays are just completely terrible. And young men especially are opting out of relationships for that reason. You know, men, as much as we love excitement and passion-filled things like sports and gaming, right? You know, we prefer peace in relationships. And at the heart of it, I think that's what's causing young men to stay away from relationships. Now, there is some cowardice at play, admittedly. That is certainly true, where young men, you know, through their cowardice, refuse to go out and take risks and ask and approach girls that they might be interested in. But in general, I think the dating market is on a swift decline because the sexes can't get along with each other. And I might be completely wrong about that. I might have this completely backwards, but that's what I think at the moment, right? People are way more skeptical and pessimistic of the future. People see everything as a scam, you know, and can you really blame them though, right? Because if you look at the rate of divorce and the rate of relationship failures, it really doesn't seem to be in anyone's favor to commit to someone long term. And so as a result of that, we have all these short-term arrangements, situationships, where people just go in for selfish reasons and then get out with the inevitable heartbreak that they've seen coming from a mile away, right? And so all our pursuits seem to be self-serving, and the heart of man has seemed to become selfish as the days go on. So we make all this societal progress on the surface, right, where people are becoming wealthier and wealthier, and contrary to what you might believe, people are becoming wealthier at a swifter rate than any other time in history, right? Contrary to what you might see in the media, right, where people talk about, oh, late stage capitalism and, you know, things are on the decline. It really isn't that. That really isn't the case in the real world, right? Yes, inflation is a real thing. Yes, people are struggling economically. But on a whole, people are becoming wealthier by the day at a faster rate than any other time in history. But we see that happen, and that is happening, but people are becoming more nihilistic. And when I say people are becoming more nihilistic, you can tell that's true by the way people treat their future, right? You look at the common young man, the common young woman, and see how they spend their time. And I guarantee you that over 50% of the young person, the average young person, is actively destroying their future. And I know I sound like your grandpa, but hear me out. Hear me out. How many hours a day do you spend pursuing the things that you actually say you want? And how many hours a day do you spend pursuing something that you know within your heart of hearts won't benefit you? It's probably disproportionately leaning toward the latter. And that's not good. That's what it means to actively sabotage your future, right? And you might not know why you do that. But I want you to think about this. Could it be that you have this deep-seated skepticism about life and that you are nihilistic in nature? You don't think the future is going to turn out right. You don't think there's anything in store for you. You don't think there's anyone waiting to love you. You don't think there's a possible family waiting to love and care for you, someone you can take care of and be responsible for. You don't think the world is moving forward. You think the world is regressing. And so subconsciously you believe these things, and so you think that there is no reason to better yourself or improve your life. Could that be the case? And I want you to think about this really, because society isn't just this big abstract thing over here. Society is made up of individuals, and you are an individual. And it starts with you. If you manage to change yourself, your life, introspect, and understand why you behave the way in which you behave, and you do that, and you influence other people, and people begin doing that one person at a time, I guarantee you, society can move up. Society can go on a swift incline. But until we wake up, until we begin introspecting and looking at our own lives and moving forward, society will forever be on a decline. And let me tell you, it is not enough to just exist. See, a lot of people think they're good people simply because they haven't done wrong. But to be good, you have to actively be good. And if you don't see that in your life, there's a high chance it isn't happening in the lives of other people. And if it isn't happening in the lives of other people, then there's a high chance it isn't happening in society in general. So the key is to actively move forward. And in terms of the betterment of social relations, where we have seen the deterioration constantly, right? It is becoming more difficult to hold a conversation with the average person. It's terrible. It's terrible. People don't know how to stand up for themselves. People feel ostracized, even in a world of abundant social media, abundant technology, abundant means and methods of reaching and connecting with each other. People are feeling more and more ostracized, right? The way we get better is by loving our fellow man as if he were ourselves. That is the only way to get better. That is the only saving method, right? Love. Love yourself first. Love yourself. Treat yourself as if you were someone you were caring for. Because that is literally what you're supposed to do. Be responsible for yourself first. Then you can love others. And you'll become more responsible for the people you love. And that is how we mend and fix society. Society is declining, but it doesn't have to stay that way. See, we can't change our destination overnight, but we can change our direction overnight. And it's up to you to do that. It's up to each individual to do that. And you've stayed through this entire video and you've heard what I've had to say. That's all I have to say. Now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do about it. It's up to you to think about it. It's up to you to make a difference. See, society is like a dying flower, but it's still a flower nonetheless. It can be appreciated. It can be nurtured. It can be rooted in love once more and flourish forevermore. This is Corbin Conversations. I hope you've got something from this video. If you have any ideas, any interesting perspectives, I'd appreciate if you put those down in the comments. Start a conversation. Let's see what you have to say. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Seek on. Seek on. Thank you again.